That's right, we are talking one wheel pint wheels today, tires if you will. I'm stoked on it, so if you're brand new around here, welcome to my channel. Let's get the conversation started. I'm excited about today's conversation on tires. I've kind of started geeking out on tires, like what they're made of, how they ride. We're talking about it today. So if you're stoked in on what tires should you be floating around on your pint, we're gonna help you today. We've got the brand new Xtra Rad Slick from Float Life. A little bit of Float Life gear on today. This is a great jacket. It's waterproof. I mean, getting caught out in a little bit of rain and you can protect yourself. Come on, sick. Thank you, Float Life, for making some great aftermarket products. You guys are awesome. And I'm really stoked on this tire because I like the Burris 6 Float Life collab for the XR. Like, I love that tire, to be honest with you. So good. Such a good treaded tire. Okay, so I have high hopes for this slick for the pint. And we're gonna put it through the ringer. We're gonna test it out, how we do all tires here. If you haven't seen our tire reviews, we've done all kinds for the XR and we're just starting the pint. I just took off this tire right here on the pint. This is the Hoosier treaded tire, and I was bumming to take this one off. I have loved every minute on the pint with this. It just changed the ride slightly, and it's been an enjoyable ride on the trails and off-road. It's a little loud, so that is, you know, I like my float experiences to be quiet, but this had a little bit of sound to it, but it had definitely, like, the gap between these treads here are wide enough that I feel like it grips better than a lot of the XR treaded tires. I put it through the ringer and I was really amped on this. So took it off to put the Xtra Rad, sorry. It's called the Xtra Rad from Float Life and Burris collab. And so let's put it through the ringer. Let's check out compound and the makeup of it, how squishy it is, as you just saw there. We will as always compare it to other tires. This is the stock tire, and just in weight, this one is lighter. I mean, you can just feel it. It's lighter. Sitting here, now this one's been used, but you can, just the height of it. There's a different height here. This is just a little bit higher. Are they wider than each other? So this is 10.5 by 6. This is 11 by 5. So it's obviously a smaller tire in that. I love how Float Life says this is the way the pint's supposed to be rode. We'll see. After all, the creators put this tire on it. This is a great tire. It is very stiff. I mean, you hear that? That tells you how stiff that tire is. You can't, it doesn't pop. It's very squished. The sidewalls on this, I mean, when I took this one off, it took a long time to break the bead. I used my hands to do it, and it took a long time to break the bead. And eventually I got it, but I could tell just how strong the sidewalls are. So that means when you drop off things, it's gonna be harder. Whereas the sidewalls on this, I mean, they are very pliable. This reminds me of the Hoosier Whisper for the XR on how soft it was. It's still not, this is still thicker than the Whisper, but it is overall I think it's gonna be a nicer ride. We'll put it up to probably 18 PSI and see what happens. It's very squishy, I mean, look at that. It's so good. See how this is wider and this is narrower? Because that's the difference in the tire. So obviously you can have more real estate on this. It's like the Vega. The Vega I love because of the real estate you get in the tire on the XR. Less real estate might make it more nimble. I would assume it would. And it's gonna ride just, I like the squishy. I'm all about squishy tires. Now I get it, some of you like that stiff tire, so make sure you're making your decision based on the information we're sharing. That I like squishy tires. Some like this stiff, rigid ride because it's just what you're after, and that's okay. Float Life has done some serious work on collabing with Burris in their tires, so I'm amped on this. We're gonna slap it on, we're gonna go outside, and we're gonna put it through the ringer on street ride. We're gonna try a little bit of trails just to test it. And this is our initial drop on this tire. We will have more videos this week that will cover really riding it through the trails, riding on wet conditions, and really putting it through the test to see, is this a tire that I would ride most of the year? As we live in Minnesota and snow falls, we will probably always ride a slick during the summer months and do a treaded tire in the winter. However, on my XR, I could find myself staying with the Burris collab with Float Life because that tire is delicious. Let's get to it. Let's get out on the open road and test this tire out. A little bit of darkness and bam, we're outside. Greatness is getting in my way. Turning on the one wheel pint with the newly installed Xtra Rad from Float Life, collabed with Burris. I'm really excited about that I get to ride this here in the next few moments. Is just giving you the look, the profile of it. What does the wheel look like? It almost looks like it's the stock tire sitting on there. And here we are. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get after it with 6 of my kids on one wheels. And immediately, you know what? It doesn't feel too different from the standard one wheel or the stock tire. It feels very similar. The one difference is its ability to grip the mess out of the pavement. As we're mobbing down the street here, in a little bit I'll start to carve, and that's where you notice this tire shines. Like, if you love to just shred streets, you love carvability, this is the tire. As you can look, as my kids and I are getting spread out here, as I am trying to videotape, make sure we don't get ran over, and making sure all children come along with us. There is one flaw to the tire, and it's really not a flaw at all. Is there was a sticker on there, and I forgot to clean off the stickiness, so rocks got stuck to it, and you could hear that all along. That was my fault. That is not the tire's fault or Burris or Float Life at all. That is on me. So if you're hearing that, like, what is that? It's just that stickiness. This is a very sticky tire at that. Like, it just grips. Like, if you love to have a sensation of surfing, where you can get into the turnbacks on the waves, or you love the carving of snowboarding, then we're talking about something you're gonna love here. This tire rides really, really well. Like here, I am just getting into those, and I don't feel that sensation as I felt with the treaded tire. Like, there's this lip, and it gives this feeling of, oh gosh, I'm falling, I'm gonna fall. You didn't get that in this ride at all. It just rode really, really smooth. As I have to pause because Greatness fell. Our youngest, no one knows exactly what happened, but I think he got a little fast for himself and started wobbling, and then just fell. Just checking in on him, make sure he's doing okay. Try to figure out what happened, and he points, and if you notice, he's wearing 2 separate shoes because he says it helps him ride better. The dude's 4, so let him shred the way he wants. And I got like about Greatness is that, like, look, he's back on. He's like, okay, let's go. I'll cry a little bit, and now he's ready to rock and roll. So here we go, shredding on, and talking about the collab with Burris and Float Life. I really like having tires that are built for the pint or for the one wheel in mind, because I just think those tires then have a ride that the creators are trying to create for you. And I like to see what Float Life is trying to put out there as a creation of tire, and that sidewalls that were soft, man, it just made the ride very smooth. Like, it rode over bumps and cracks and rocks so nicely. Like, I enjoyed the ride, and I almost forgot that I was on it once in a while, until once again I go to carve, and in a few moments I jump on one of the other kids' tires, and I'm like, wow, this thing is different. As we wait for some cars here, do a little bit of circle for you. I mean, even when you look at it, it looks like the stock tire, but the ride is drastically different. I really like this tire. I don't know if I would go back to the stock tire. However, I could see myself going onto the treaded tire. I don't know if Float Life is doing a collab to make a pint treaded tire as we fast forward into the ride, because one of my kids, his battery is low, and so we had to keep stopping and checking it and stuff. So we stopped, check it, and now we're still cruising. His kids are dancing, and we are just enjoying a great ride out here. And we let the kids ride the tire, and their thoughts were they like the carvability. They really like their stock tires, and I get it. It's what you're comfortable with. And the PSI on this is at 18 PSI. Look at that, just that. Like, I never felt like I was going to get launched off of it. I've done that before on an XR, and as we've done these demos, or even, and you just feel like it's going to catch the lip of the tire catches. This doesn't have a lip. It is very rounded, and so it just turns into those
carves, and it really is super nice and enjoyable to be able to sit there and carve, and it goes well. I didn't check speed. We're going to do that in another test. I didn't check range. We're going to do that in another video. This was simply just get out. What's my first impressions on this thing? And just going over the manhole there just confirmed that squishiness, that the composite that is just softer. Squishy sounds probably bad, but it's softer, so it makes hitting those manholes and stuff not so brutal on your legs or on your thighs. It's just a nice smooth float sesh really with this tire. And so if you're looking for that feel, I think you're gonna like this. Is I jump on here, the stock tire, and the hardness of it made it just, for a second, a little bit wobbly for me. And I'm trying to get into those deep carves, and it just didn't carve as good as the other tire. I felt like that tire right there, the Epic's riding on my one wheel, it has a bite to it, that has a torque to it that you didn't have on this, and I think that's down to the tire's lighter. And so because of a lighter tire, it's going to have a little bit more pickup. It's going to have a little bit more speed. I felt that in the ride when I switched to this. It's always nice to be able to jump back to the stock really quick and go, okay, what's the difference? Do I notice a change? And you do notice a difference in the two tires. It's very apparent. And in the foot pads, I have the Sure Stance foot pads, the wooden ones from One Wheel, and there's a difference between these and that stock plastic one. I enjoy this ride. I think that wood has to help with absorbing some of the bumps and the shock to it. I also like the look of it, but it does have a functionality to it. It changes the ride because of you're changing the material your feet are on. And so if you're looking for float plates or if you're looking for foot pads, Sure Stance foot pads from One Wheel, it might be something for you to check out as well. And there's not too many people out there riding with them, so you definitely stand out. And with all these One Wheels, I want my kids to know that's my One Wheel. I don't want them riding my One Wheel. They just trash their One Wheels most of the time, so I want them to ride theirs and theirs alone. As we're coming to the end of our tour around a small neighborhood, we have Inspired, who shouts back at about this time, Dad, my One Wheel, it has the red light on it, which means you're like below 10%, I think. It's like there's not much juice left. And I'm like, okay, ride slow. Don't push it. We don't need you to get launched off your device. And so we just start slowing down and heading home. It was an enjoyable ride on the Pint. I like this tire. Thank you, Float Life, for sending this out for us to be able to demo. It's a great tire. I love the collabs that you guys are doing with Burris. I wonder if you're going to do a collab on a treaded tire for the Pint. I would be very interested in riding that and seeing what that's like, as I hit a little bit of grass with it, and man, it was fun to carve this. Like, you really felt the turns. You just felt like you were riding a wave in there, as Inspire's One Wheel is done there. That was it. The battery was dead. He couldn't go anymore, as you saw him eat it. And so we pause here in a moment, and we try a few ways to get the kids to get home. As you're going to see here, we tried to put Icon and Spy on the same One Wheel. I've seen people do it online. I'm like, yeah, they got this. But they did not get this. As you can see here, they're trying to hug. And she's like, I'm a little scared. I don't know about this. I'll just run home, Dad, she says. And so they bail from the idea. He gets to ride. I carry his One Wheel, and she runs home. And that's that. That's the ride of the day. Thank you so much for floating along with us today as Icon's running back and we're headed home. Thanks for all the views and the subscription or subscribes. Love it. If you're not subscribed to our channel, you should do that. We're putting out One Wheel content all the time, and we enjoy telling our stories here and demoing things and giving you our opinions. Give us a comment down below what you would like us to answer about this tire. Give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. We've got a game of Pig that we got to wrap up, and I think that's what we're going to drop tomorrow, wrapping up the game of Pig. See you guys.